Welcome and thank you so much for joining us on Africa This Morning. It is the 26th of August 2014. I'm Beryl Ooro. Let's start the bulletin with a look at the headlines.
And I shall not risk the lives of ordinary young men and women who are staff and volunteer of the Kenya Red Cross. Yesterday was a warning. This afternoon was a second warning. You don't wait for the third shot to be fired at you for you then to realize we have a problem here.
Mandera clashes. Red Cross temporarily suspends operations in Mandera North due to insecurity as police promise to restore order.
The act is unconstitutional.
Devolution cases. The High Court temporarily stops senators from convening the County Development Board meetings.
The 10th International Congress of Tropical Pediatrics, whose theme is Tropical Pediatrics and the MDGs, where are we?
Child mortality. First Lady Margaret Kenyatta concerned with the high rate of child mortality in the country. And finally, Ebola alert. The Democratic Republic of Congo confirms the Ebola outbreak is in the country. We start in Kenya. There are conflicting reports on the number of people who have been killed following days of violence in Ramu area of Mandera County. Authorities say only 2 people have been killed, but residents claim the number could be higher. The Red Cross has in the meantime suspended operations in Mandera North due to insecurity, even as police promised to restore order.
The Kenya Red Cross Society suspended services in Mandera North Sub-County until the safety of its staff members is assured after an ambulance it had leased to the county government was attacked. Kenya Red Cross Society Secretary General Abbas Gule said they will resume services once security officers restore order.
So I'm saying as far as Mandera North Sub-County is concerned, in Ramu town, we will now suspend our activities as of today until we get assurances from both parties.
The number of those killed in the clashes remain unclear, with police saying only 2 people have been killed. Residents say the number could be higher.
The attackers were overpowered and replaced. However, 1 person was killed and 4 others were injured, and police officers rushed the injured to Ramu District Hospital, where they are currently admitted, and 1 was transferred to Mandera District Hospital.
So far, 5 people have been arrested in connection with the violence, and reconciliation efforts have been initiated.
So far, National Police Service officers have arrested 5 persons who are undergoing interrogation, and a 1 AK-47 rifle with 28 rounds of ammunition and a notebook have been recovered, together with those suspects who are arrested, and they are assisting the police officers with it.
The conflict between militias from the Gara and the Godia clans started intensifying in May this year and has claimed the lives of at least 50 people and displaced many others.
Moving coastward, Deputy President William Ruto now says MCAs have a right to be represented in the Intergovernmental Economic and Budget Committee. Speaking at the opening of the inaugural Kwale Investment Forum, the Deputy President said MCAs must be empowered to enable them to protect devolution.
Asante, asante.
Just 2 days after a forum to discuss issues affecting devolution, where members of the county assemblies accused the executive and the Commission of Revenue Allocation of undermining them, the government has responded. Among their demands included:
we must demand that we be in the places that talk about counties, not because we love ourselves, but we are able to oversight, to give the necessary oversight to the county executives.
Deputy President William Ruto has said that the government supports increased empowerment of members of the county assemblies in their oversight roles and will accept their membership on intergovernmental bodies as demanded. Ruto noted that MCAs must be empowered to hold the executive to account.
I chair the IBEC, and I can confirm that the participation of county assemblies is welcome, so that we have a balanced debate on how to move things.
On Saturday, MCAs formed a 15-member technical committee to look into issues troubling devolution and also demanded same benefits as MPs such as car grants and ward offices. The Deputy President alluded to the fact that the biggest threat to investment, trade and the general growth of the Kenyan economy was wastage, mismanagement, corruption and leaders who do not want to account for use of public resources. Ruto's sentiments weighed on the referendum question as pushed by governors, saying it's a waste of time and a useless engagement.
We must be ready to be held to the highest standards of integrity and accountability.
So every morning when we wake up, they malign the names of the county assemblies.
Is the government trying to entice MCAs who are formulating and identifying the issues of concern and decide whether to push for a referendum or not?
Honorable members, now we are going into a very critical stage.
The High Court has temporarily barred senators from convening the County Development Board meetings and further enjoined County Assembly speakers in the case filed by governors against the enactment of the County Government Amendment Act. Ooro reports.
Thank you very much.
Governors have raised complaints against senators claiming that they were interfering with development in counties contrary to their oversight watchdog mandate. The Council of Governors moved to court after President Uhuru Kenyatta assented to the County Government Amendment Act on July 30th. According to the governors, the law is illegal and an attempt to kill devolution. Now, the act vests executive powers to senators, specifically establishing county development boards to coordinate and harmonize county development plans and projects.
We hereby strongly object to the passage into law of the County Government Amendment Act 2014, which seeks to introduce county development boards chaired by senators. The act is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear that the governor is the chief executive of the county government.
Justice Isaac Lenaola told senators to await the court's decision on the legality of the County Government Amendment Act of 2014, as a section of senators had directed their respective governors to issue notices for their inaugural CDB meetings to be held this week. The governor said the senators are supposed to perform their oversight and legislative roles and not executive functions. Governors further argue that the law interferes with the principle of separation of powers in Section 96 of the Constitution, putting the Senate as only a legislative body. Justice Lenaola has in the meantime directed that the file be placed before the Chief Justice to appoint a 3-judge bench to hear the matter. The case is set to be mentioned on the 4th of September. For Ooro Africa TV, I'm Ooro.
Financial managers and accountants at state, corporation and public entities have accused the Auditor General's staff of being incompetent. The Auditor General, Edward Ooro, however, defended them, saying his offices will help them improve their skills.
I'd like to know whether the Auditor General...
As Kenya's state corporations and public entities move closer to a new financial reporting framework, the National Treasury has convened a 5-day training for accountants and financial officials. This comes at the backdrop of complaints from the Auditor General's office saying government institutions are not submitting timely and clean audited accounts, a factor that is likely to contribute to the releasing of the Auditor General's report this financial year.
I found myself in a position where there were no proper records. There were no supporting documentation on these accounts which people say are accounts.
The Auditor General's office is, however, on the receiving end. Financial officers from different government agencies claim some officers in the Ouro's office are incompetent.
Sorry, it might appear to be that, but I think it is more the exception than the rule. And a lot of my staff are also very professional. So we take note of training. We are going to continue training our staff.
These accusations come at a time when the Auditor General may get powers to recommend withholding funds to corrupt state units if the Public Audit Act is amended. The law says civil servants will be cited personally in audit reports for loss of state funds.
Everybody is expected to do that. What do these people go to do from 8 to 5? Don't we have accountants? We have accountants.
MPs have recently demanded that several senior public officers be held accountable for a suspicious transfer of 8.3 billion shillings into and out of the government's secret security accounts during the 2013 transition period. Reporting for Ooro Africa, I'm Sam Gakunyi.
Prepared from the records.
The African continent's security situation has deteriorated over the years due to the rise of the number of terrorism activities and the radicalization of the youth. According to the Ambassador Francisco Madeira, the African Union representative for the Commission of Counter-Terrorism, the war against terrorism can be won if governments create employment for the youth and adopt more coordinated intelligence sharing strategies.
A high-profile security meeting bringing together security and intelligence services in the African continent kicked off today. Under the support of the Committee of Intelligence and Security Services of Africa, the conference is expected to give Africa's security chiefs a platform to review the continent's security situation over the past years.
We are taking advantage of the presence of everybody, including people from some of the affected countries, to deepen our understanding, to share perspectives, just to exchange information, and of course to renew our commitment to collaborate with each other.
While addressing the press, Africa Union representative from the Commission of Counter-Terrorism, Ambassador Francisco Madeira, said a well-coordinated and better organized security intelligence would salvage Africa's war against terror.
We are facing challenges that we need to overcome. We need to get better organized. These terrorists are mastering techniques that they were not mastering before. These terrorists are having access to resources that they did not have before. They are getting organized. We need to be a step ahead of them.
Ambassador Madeira raised his concerns over the rate at which African youth are being radicalized, worsening the terrorism problem. An understanding of why this has become a norm is one of the things Madeira says the conference will seek to achieve.
We need to prevent our youths from being recruited to terrorism. We need to understand why our youths are becoming victims of this recruitment. And once we understand this, to take the appropriate action to impede that from happening. We need to address those problems that make the youth attractive.
The officials are expected to exchange intelligence to develop a shared understanding of common security problems in the continent. Outgoing Intelligence Chief Michael Gishangi is among the keynote speakers lined up for the conference that comes to a close on Saturday. Akisa Wandera, Ooro Africa News, Nairobi.
First Lady Margaret Kenyatta has regretted the high rate of child mortality in the country despite all efforts to reduce it. Speaking during the 10th International Congress on Tropical Pediatrics at the International Conference Center, the First Lady expressed concern that 27 out of every 1,000 newborn babies die at birth, majority of them within less than 48 hours.
Recent reports show that Kenya remains off track to reach its Millennium Development Goal on reducing the maternal mortality rate despite making some progress. First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, who was spearheading a campaign to reduce Kenya's high rates of maternal and child mortality, is concerned that newborn deaths remain high despite Kenya making some steady progress towards reducing child mortality. While addressing the International Congress of Tropical Pediatrics, the First Lady called on stakeholders in Africa to effectively play their roles to ensure all Millennium Development Goals related to the development of children are achieved.
Opportune moment for us, individually as countries and collectively as regions, to take stock of our progress towards achieving the MDG targets set about 15 years ago.
The Beyond Zero campaign is already delivering mobile clinics to the 47 counties in Kenya. She urged participants to engage in frank and meaningful discussions with a view of achieving the Millennium Development Goals.
I urge each person here, each region here, and each government represented here to commit to do their bit towards achieving the MDGs.
Health Cabinet Secretary James Macharia said his ministry will ensure sufficient vaccines in all public hospitals so as to keep at bay preventable diseases amongst children.
We work tirelessly to ensure that all our national and county health facilities are supplied with vaccine of the highest quality in a sustainable manner. These strategies are expected to positively contribute to the accelerated achievement of the 4th Millennium Development Goal, which, as you have heard, aims at reducing the child mortality.
He said although the health sector is a devolved service, his ministry will continue to work closely with county governments to ensure Kenyans access quality and effective medical services.
Still on health matters, Kenya is committed to eliminating HIV and mother-to-child transmission of the virus by 2015. The chairperson of the National Empowerment Network of People Living with HIV says the response against HIV is facing challenges with little or no effort being used to educating the public on how to prevent new infections.
The HIV epidemic in Kenya has evolved since the first case was diagnosed in 1984 to become one of the major causes of mortality and has placed tremendous demands on the health system and the economy. But why has it taken too long before change is felt? Chairperson of the National Empowerment Network of People Living with HIV/AIDS, Nelson Otuoma, explains.
The Kenyan problem is that we always respond very late. We start all this very late. When HIV/AIDS cases were there from 1984, it took up to around 1999 to start even thinking of NAC. So it means that it took some time before even people started thinking which agency in the government can help us deal with HIV. HIV was still not within the Ministry of Health. And even as we are speaking, it is only this new administration, the Jubilee government, that has taken HIV to the Ministry of Health.
Kenya has the 4th highest number of AIDS infections in the world, with HIV prevalence standing at 1.6 million people. According to recent reports, the country registers 100,000 new infections annually. Are the measures put in place by the government bearing fruit? The fight against HIV pandemic has been facing challenges. Although some of them, like bad cultural practices, have been dealt with, the government and other stakeholders need to work on how to inform the public about HIV, since lack of awareness increases the risk within the population. Otuoma, in an interview with Ooro Africa this morning, said devolution of health services may complicate the response against HIV and AIDS.
Now, the challenge that is there is the challenge of devolution, the push and pull of where the resources go. It's a challenge of devolution, and we think that this is a challenge that has faced countries that are devolved, including Nigeria, South Africa, and even Canada, countries that are mature in devolution, because people look for resources. But we think there are certain things the national government can do. In Kenya, the law says that health is devolved, and there is no any other business about it.
Over the last 5 years, annual AIDS-related deaths have been declining, with the country registering 58,000 deaths in 2013, down from 85,000 in 2009.
And on that note, we come to a short break, but we'll be back with more stories from Africa and the international front.